that's straight and bright. By the light of the Word.
Today on Light of the Word with Pastor Ray.
How can you, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Jesus is saying what comes out of your mouth is what's in your heart. Regardless of how you want to say it, however you want to say what it is that you're doing and you think it's good, from whatever comes out of your heart, whatever you speak is truly what's in your heart. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good things. And an evil man out of the evil treasure brings forth evil things.
Open your heart to us, Lord, so we can know your word. We come before you, Jesus. Speak to our hearts as we discover your love for us. How wide, how deep, how far. Pour into us so we can learn to follow. One surrender at a time. You have made the way for us to know you, a path that's straight and bright. By the light of the Word.
Whatever you say shows what is truly in your heart. Holding resentment or judgment for someone in your heart will no doubt come out as bad words against that person. In today's message, Pastor Ray will encourage you to ponder what you hold in your heart. For if you seek to follow after Jesus, but slander comes out of your mouth, then your heart is not right with God. Jesus humbled himself to come and serve us, and you should also humble yourself before others. Well, let's join Pastor Ray in the book of 2 Samuel chapter 19 for today's edition of Light of the Word.
Take a look at 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 15. Then the king returned and came to Jordan. And Judah came to Gilgal to go to meet the king, to escort the king across the Jordan. So just a reminder. So here's what it's going to tell us. And we're going to see this, and this is a continual theme throughout the study of the history of Israel. There's 12 tribes of Israel. They're the sons of Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. And there's a northern kingdom and a southern kingdom. And the southern kingdom is Judah and Benjamin, and you could throw in Levi because they really never had an inheritance. They're the priestly line. So here we're going to see Israel, the northern 10, and then we're going to see the southern here, Judah. And when it says Judah, it means Judah and Benjamin. There's a continual theme there that we'll see. Why would David return? Why? You're going to return to Jerusalem for more war, for more threat, for more hatred, for more uprising that comes with being a king. You're going to come for all these type of things. He had it good up where he's at right now, Mahanaim. It's a walled city. It's fortified. He's safe. He has Barzillai, who we're going to read about today, providing for him great riches. David's in a good place. He's put down his enemy, the nations that come against him. You know what? David could just retire. He's like 60 now, which is getting up there for this time, especially when you've done nothing but fight. He could just retire and go, you know what? I'm just going to relax. I'm done with the war. I'm done with the battle. But he doesn't. Why? Love and glory. David truly loves the people of Israel. He knows his calling. And for the glory of God, he's going to go back to unite a nation. And he has a glory on his heart, and it's to build a temple where God himself will dwell in. He's going to have his son end up doing it. But David comes back for love and glory. David's coming back. Picking it up, verse 16, 2 Samuel chapter 19. And Shimei, the son of Gera, a Benjamite, who was from Bahurim, hurried and came down with the men of Judah to meet King David. There were 1,000 men of Benjamin with him, and Ziba, the servant of the house of Saul, and his 15 sons and his 20 servants with him. And they went over the Jordan before the king. Verse 18, then a ferry boat went across to carry over the king's household and to do what he thought good. Now Shimei, the son of Gera, fell down before the king when he had crossed over the Jordan. Then he said to the king, do not let my lord impute iniquity to me, or remember what wrong your servant did on the day that my lord the king left Jerusalem, that the king should take to heart. Verse 20, for I, your servant, know that I have sinned. Therefore, here I am, the first to come today of all the house of Joseph, to go down to meet the Lord, the king. Verse 21, but Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, answered and said, shall not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed the Lord's anointed? You remember back in chapter 16, here comes Shimei when David's leaving and going in exile, and he's coming, he's kicking up dust, he's just losing his mind, he's cursing the king, the Lord's anointed, and now here it is, a beautiful Southwest airline commercial. Want to get away? This didn't play out the way that I was expecting. Shimei thinks David's done and he can come and curse the king and lay charge against him. And now it's, oops, David won, outnumbered greatly. And so he comes, hey, no hard feelings. I really didn't mean that. We're good, right? Do I think Shimei is sincere? No. Because if he was truly sincere, he would have repented before the battle. When David up was Mahanaim, he'd have came and says, I was totally out of line. I'm sorry. So I don't think he's sincere, but here he comes back to the king. Shimei had no problem cursing the Lord's anointed. Chosen. David was chosen by God to be the king of Israel. That was clearly established, the chosen one. But Shimei comes and he has no problem cursing the Lord's anointed. David himself, as we continually studied back in 1 Samuel 24, David would not touch Saul. When David did cut the hem of Saul's garment, if you remember that, he was totally convicted inside of, I can't believe I did that. To cut the hem of a king or someone in the leadership would be equivalent today of going up to a military person and ripping off their honor, their bars, their medals, whatever, their stripes. This is what David I ripped the hem of the king, and he repented, and he said, far be it that I should touch the Lord's anointed. But here comes Shimei, and this whole time he had no problem cursing the Lord's anointed. Can I say something? Christian, today's Christianity, God's people have no problem touching the Lord's anointed. Somehow, the church more than any time think they have some right or some place to touch the Lord's anointed. And who is the Lord's anointed? It's who God has chosen. And that who he has chosen varies in different situations for your life. The chosen could be your boss. God chose your boss to be over you. It could be your teacher, could be your coach, could be your pastor, could be your church, could be, and notice 1 Peter 2:9, but you are a chosen generation. You know that brother or sister, that husband, that wife, that they're chosen by God. And what I want you to see And I believe the application is vital for every last one of us. And I'll start with me. Every person in these chapters that we've studied now for going on a couple months, every person that has touched the Lord's anointed David has been diminished. There's not one person that we studied that went on to do greater things. There's not one person who laid and touched David that was not diminished or destroyed. And I want to tell you, that's what will happen to you. And that's what will happen to me. God will not allow us, and God will diminish our lives for laying a charge against his anointed. That brother or sister, even that person who doesn't know him, was created in God's image, and nobody will go greater. Your life will diminish if you lay a charge against the Lord's anointed. And let me say, man, oh man, somehow, and I think this is part of the problem with this social media, people think it and they tweet it. They don't even stop to think, am I tearing down another person? Did you know from 2006 through 2017, every tweet has been archived in the Library of Congress? Every tweet, every idle word. And regardless what Facebook will tell you, everything you've ever posted on Facebook has been archived and recorded. Jesus, speaking to the Pharisees, he said, he don't mix words, brood of vipers. How can you, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Jesus is saying, what comes out of your mouth is what's in your heart. Regardless of how you want to say it, however you want to say what it is that you're doing and you think it's good, from whatever comes out of your heart, whatever you speak is truly what's in your heart. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good things. And an evil man out of the evil treasure brings forth evil things. Verse 36, Matthew 12. But I say to you that for every idle word, idle can mean careless, fruitless, vain word men may speak, they will give an account of in the day of judgment. Library of Congress is not going to archive all the tweets starting January 1st, 2018. Only the historical ones, they said. But God will continue to archive every word that's spoken. Every word. And this touching a Lord's anointed, and I mean anybody created in the image of God, God will hold accountable. I think we need to be very, very conscious of every word that we speak, of every type of a keyboard that's spoken, because no one who touched God's anointed, David, went on to greater things. All of them were diminished. All of them were held accountable. Oh, but look at David, what he does, man. He's going to be such a picture of grace and mercy. Abishai, he wants to kill him. Let me just kill him. David, verse 22. And David says, what have I to do with you, son of Zeruiah? That's his sister. This Abishai is his nephew. That you should be adversaries to me today. Shall any man be put to death today in Israel? For do I not know that today I am king over Israel? David knows who he is. He can withstand what people say. And I hope you do too. You're the king's kid, regardless of what people say. And no lie about you will change that truth. Verse 23, therefore the king said to Shimei, you shall not die. And the king swore to him. David is giving grace mercy. David's making a statement to all of Israel. I'm not coming back with vengeance. If he'd have lopped off Shimei's head, everybody in Israel would have started to tremble. They'd be like, oh man, the king's coming back with a vengeance. But David will not put a sword against Shimei, and we'll see it through the rest of the chapter. He's going to come with grace and mercy, and everybody will know the king's coming to unite a kingdom, not to divide a kingdom, not to destroy. Remember Ahithophel? He turned on David. He touched the Lord's anointed. When he knew that Absalom wasn't going to defeat David, Ahithophel took his own life because he knew this is going to be a loss for Absalom. I wish Ahithophel would have known the heart of the king, because here comes David. I'm not coming back with a vengeance. I'm not going to come and I'm not going to destroy. I'm coming back with mercy and grace. Ahithophel could have had mercy and grace too, just like Shimei is getting. Ahithophel could have had a new beginning, and I want you to know this. Maybe you've done something, and maybe you're sitting here going, man, there's no turning back now. I've totally wrecked my life or wrecked my marriage or whatever it may be. You don't know the heart of the king. David is a picture of the heart of Jesus Christ, and I'm coming back with grace and mercy, and I will work with you, and I will give you opportunity. And I just plead with anyone today who thinks they've done something that can't be forgiven. They've done something that God has says that was the final straw. What we see continually is David, who's a picture, or greater than David, Jesus Christ, continually coming with grace and mercy. But I do want to say this. There's going to come a day for Shimei. 1 Kings chapter 2. If we were to continue through this book, this is where we would be coming. David's going to be going off the scene. His son Solomon will become the king. And David's actually going to say to him, watch out for Shimei, son. And so Solomon, the wisest man in the Bible, we're told, he's going to say to Shimei, okay, Shimei, you cursed the king. He gave you grace. Now here's what I'm going to do for you, Shimei. You're going to build yourself a house in Jerusalem. And as long as you stay within your plot of land, you will receive my grace. But the day you step off that plot of land and break my word and cross my grace and mercy, your life will be required. And we will read, if you were to continue on in 1 Kings 2, Shimei's 2 slaves are going to run away. He's going to go chase them down to Gath. He's going to bring them back. Word's going to come back to Solomon. Shimei left his land. And Solomon's going to send word. I gave you grace. I gave you mercy. But I gave you a law. And as long as you lived within that law, you would live. But once you break the law, there will be a consequence, I told you. And here is the consequence. You shall die. God gives us, what a picture. He gives us this grace. He gives us this mercy. Continually, every day, there's this opportunity, but there will come a day that will answer to the law. And that's the gospel. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever should believe him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And we need to be covered by that, or else we'll have to answer to the law that condemns us for breaking God's holy commandment. And you know, God gives us grace today. But I think of the woman who was caught in adultery there in John 8. Total setup, because they bring her, they don't bring the man. So we know it was all a setup to try to trap Jesus. But what did he say to her? Where's your accusers after he goes through the whole process? They all left. He says, where's your accusers? And she says, nowhere. He says, nor do I condemn you. And what did he say, though? Go and sin no more. And God gives us a grace, but it's not a grace to continue to live in some type of rebellious, habitual sin. There's a grace that comes and says, you know what? I'm going to turn and I'm going to follow, and I'm going to be thankful for the grace that you've given me. Shimei wasn't thankful for the grace that was given him, and he's going to pay the price. And so too, anyone who takes and abuses the grace of God. Just a note there, Abishai, let me lop his head off. You know, there will never be a lack of head loppers in the church. And I think we've all been there. People with no grace. This is what the law says. You curse the king. Let me lop his head off. David says, man, today's not the day. Today's the day of grace. And so when you are in that situation and there's a head lopper, go, man, you need to retaliate for what happened. You need to just sit back and go, is this the time for grace, or is this the time to bring that? So be careful of the head loppers in your ear trying to persuade you that now's the time to lop off heads. And when in doubt, just err on the side of grace. Always err on the side of grace and let God take your vengeance for you. Verse 24 through 30. Here comes Mephibosheth, if you remember him. Mephibosheth was Jonathan's son. David had brought him to eat at his table when he was in Jerusalem as the king. And then when the Absalom rebellion came, David takes off. Ziba comes without Mephibosheth. Ziba is Mephibosheth's servant as appointed by David. David goes, where's Mephibosheth? He goes, oh, he says today he's going to be made king. Breaks David's heart. So here we go. David's coming back. Now Mephibosheth comes out to greet him. Verse 24. Now Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king, and he had not cared for his feet, nor trimmed his mustache, nor washed his clothes from the day the king departed until he returned in peace. Sounds like some of the men on football Sunday there. So it was when he had come to Jerusalem to meet the king that the king said to him, why did you not go with me, Mephibosheth? You can almost hear the heartbreak in David's heart. Man, you ate at my table. And when it came time to leave, where were you? Verse 26, and he answered, my lord, O king, my servant deceived me. For your servant said, I will saddle a donkey for myself that I may ride on it and go to the king because your servant is lame. Remember, Mephibosheth is lame. As a child, he was dropped and his feet got crushed. And he has slandered your servant to my lord the king. But my lord the king is like an angel of God. Therefore, do what is good in your eye. For all my father's house were but dead men before the Lord the king. Yet your servant among those who eat at your own table. Therefore, what right have I to cry out any more to the king? Verse 29, so the king said to him, why do you speak any more of your matter? I have said, you and Ziba divide the land. You remember in the past, he gave it all to Ziba. Then Mephibosheth said to the king, rather let him take it all, inasmuch as my lord the king has come back in peace to his own house. Someone's lying. Somebody's lying. Ziba, who was in charge of taking care of him, appointed by David, he's either lying or Mephibosheth is lying. Who? Which one? Which one is lying? We don't know. And even David doesn't know. A man after God's own heart, even he doesn't have all this information who's lying.
You have made the way for us to know you, a path that's straight and bright. By the light of the world.
We know your day is hectic and filled to the brim, so we're so happy you chose to spend time with us today on Light of the Word. We'd like to share another way you can hear Pastor Ray Bolus's messages and even take them with you on the go. Light of the Word has a mobile app for Apple, Android, and Windows devices, giving you access to the latest teachings as soon as they're made available, right at your fingertips. You'll also have Pastor Ray's teaching notes, be able to set up a personalized Bible reading plan, plus discover more about Calvary Chapel of Anne Arundel County, the church these messages originate from. You'll find a link to download this app under the About tab at our website, ccaac.org. We'd love to stay in touch with you, so don't forget to sign up for our weekly newsletter while you're there. Do you have a prayer request you'd like to share with us, or do you have any questions? If so, please take a moment to email us at mail@ccaac.org. That email address again is mail@ccaac.org. We'll get back to you as soon as possible and do our best to answer your questions. We love that we can lift our listeners up to the Lord in prayer, and we'd like to ask you if you do the same for us. Thanks for praying, and thanks for listening today to Light of the Word, illuminating the heart of God.